Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting day to learn data analysis with Excel. I'm Dan Martins, and for today we have an amazing topic to deal with today. And if you've not yet followed us, or if you are new to this channel, please do well to follow us on all Loctech social media platform and to see more topics and other interesting educative video to learn from. Okay, so to start with, I'm going to just move down to discuss about the topic we have today before we go into our practical files, which is our Excel worksheet. Remember, this is data analysis with Excel, and I welcome you all. So we're going to our day two data analysis with Excel, and I just want to run through some interesting topics which are very important for us today. So the first thing we're going to look at here for our specific objectives, we're going to look at introduction to lookup functions in Excel. Now, lookup function is one of the powerful functions in Excel, which as a data analyst, you are supposed to know and understand how this function works, so that this will help you to work with a large data set as well. Because I mean, the aim of this is just it's not just for us to work with a small data set, but to work with a large data set. All right. Also, we're going to look at the use of VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP, and another powerful tools which mark or which we see as the most key features of Excel is pivot table, and we're going to talk about pivot table and pivot chart. So it's one of the important tools so far in Excel. If you have been following and studying Excel, you know that pivot table is one of the key features of Excel, which is very powerful when it comes to summarizing data. So now let's look at what these topics are all about. Okay, so still on our slide, we're going to move down to see this. All right, so first of all, a brief overview of what VLOOKUP is all about. So let's all know that VLOOKUP means um, vertical lookup. Sometimes you can also call it or refer it to as value lookup. Now, as the name specifies, VLOOKUP is built-in function that help you look for a specific value by searching for it vertical across the sheet. In other words, you search for the data vertically from leftmost part of your table to the rightmost part of the table, which means that right there's a big limitation about using VLOOKUP, because you cannot look for your data from the right to the left, or you can only look for it from the left to the right. Then we look down there, we see that the syntax, or which is the argument for this VLOOKUP is VLOOKUP. That is the first thing, means what you're looking for, and also table array. The table array is actually the entire array or the table you are working with. I also have column index number, meaning which number or which column contain what you are looking for, which you type the number, and finally range lookup. Now for the range lookup, this is actually very optional, which means you probably may not use this when working with the VLOOKUP. All right, now the next one here is we found out that both VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP are lookup functions in Excel that help you find specific information within a data set. Now, in other words, VLOOKUP, like I said, is vertical lookup or value lookup. Now, for the HLOOKUP, we know it to be horizontal lookup. So, in other words, where your table is given as vertically, then use VLOOKUP. But when your table is look horizontally, then you use the HLOOKUP function. Now, however, they differ in how they search for that particular information. Now, the next function I'm going to let us see is the XLOOKUP. Now, the truth is that XLOOKUP is very powerful when it comes to all the lookup function in Excel. So, which means that XLOOKUP has automatically replaced VLOOKUP and VLOOKUP and your HLOOKUP. So you may not likely want to use VLOOKUP and your HLOOKUP most often, but the truth is that XLOOKUP has taken the place of VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. But However, we're going to look at how you can use the VLOOKUP and the HLOOKUP in case you want to make use of it. And of course, we finalize this with introducing us or you to how you can use the XLOOKUP, which is much better than VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP, like I said. So we're going to practice all of this as well. And finally, we're going to look at the most important features of Excel, which is our pivot table, and which means that with pivot table, you as a data analyst can summarize data and make your data very easy to understand, and people follow up your data very well. Now, in Excel, a pivot table is a powerful tool that helps you summarize, organize, and analyze large data set in a flexible and interactive way. Now, just to let you know, pivot table is one of the tools you need to create Excel dashboard. All right, so it allows you to quickly transform rows and columns of data into meaningful insight by rearranging it, grouping it, and calculating various statistics. So with pivot table, you can summarize a complex data. So you're going to learn more by seeing how pivot table works and how you can use it to summarize your complex data as well. All right, now next is that what does pivot table do? Now, pivot table help us to summarize data. That's number one, which means you can calculate various statistics like sum, average, count, and all of that based on your chosen group. Again, next, organized data, meaning allows you to filter, sort, group data by different category, revealing hidden pattern and trend, which means that with the help of pivot table, you can filter and sort and as well group your data. Now, next here is, which is my last point before we move down to our spreadsheet for today to learn and practice this. We talked about visualization, talking about that pivot table can help us to visualize our data, which means that as a data analyst, you can create interactive table chart, making complex information easier to understand. Remember, we said that pivot table is used to summarize complex data. So which means that by summarizing complex data, you can also visualize your data as well and make it so interactive for other people in your team or in your group or in your organization to understand your data more better. All right, so this is just a brief description of what we're going to look at for today. And quickly, we're going to move down to our worksheet and practice this. And I'd like us to follow along, and please do well to drop all your questions and all your comments as we're going to take our time and respond to all of them. Okay, so let's jump right to our worksheet and see how we can put this into practice. And I'm sure we all know where we have our Excel worksheet. So you can, like I said, you can check your Excel worksheet either from your startup menu or from your taskbar or on your desktop. So I'm going to go up and open my own file and my own worksheet. So join me and open your Excel so that you can follow along with the tools I'm going to use today and practice along as well. So look for your Excel and open up so that we can practice together. So here I have my Excel worksheet. Yeah, I have my Excel worksheet here, which we're going to practice together. Remember the topic for today. We're going to look at VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, pivot table, and pivot chart. So, okay, I will give us a quick break, like 1 minute break or 2 minutes for us to open our Excel worksheet so that you can follow along with all the tools I'm going to point out today, and you can practice it more later on your own. So All right, so welcome back. And I hope we've all opened our worksheet so that you can follow along and practice with what we have. Like I said, remember, we have our topic to be VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, and pivot table and pivot chart. So if you look at this sample file, I have um, some data that has to do with salesperson, ID number, date, sales amount, and commission. Okay, now a situation whereby you are working with a large amount of data, I want to search for a particular person and their commission or their sales amount. So you don't really need to scroll down and check for those data or those information that you're looking for. So you can use a VLOOKUP to search for the sales amount or the commission. Now, first of all, where do we have our VLOOKUP and XLOOKUP? Now, right on your tab, from your formula tabs, then a group called function library, then you're going to see lookup and reference. Now, under this lookup and reference, you're going to see all the lookup function starting from VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, and other lookup function you can work with. So here we have to use one of them and start to solve our question. So VLOOKUP is here, as you can see, and also down here at the bottom we have our XLOOKUP, and scrolling up a bit you're going to see your hash lookup. Remember, hash lookup is horizontal lookup, and our VLOOKUP is vertical lookup, and we have our XLOOKUP. All right, so this is where you have them in case you are following along and you want to know where you have your lookup function. So like I said, from formula tabs, lookup and reference, and you have all your VLOOKUP. But we are not going to be coming here often because we are going to be typing our formula as we proceed. Okay, so here I have my salesperson and I have the commission column. So I want a situation whereby I don't really need to come back and scroll down and be looking for the salesperson amount and the commission. I want a situation whereby any salesperson I type here, I want to see the commission popping up automatically, or I want to see the sales amount popping up automatically. Remember the rows of VLOOKUP, because VLOOKUP is what we want to start first. So the rows is that it's looking for the value from the left to the right. So don't attempt to look for the value from right to the left. It won't work. Okay, it will break. So that's why we need to understand how to use our XLOOKUP that can do all this for us very easily, either from the left or on the right. So but let's try and understand how our VLOOKUP works. So here I'm going to type the VLOOKUP formula by coming here and type equal sign. Remember, I said yesterday that all our formulas start with equal sign. So I'm going to type equal sign VLOOKUP. So this is VLOOKUP. Now, the syntax I mentioned is exactly what we have here, which is lookup value, table array, column index number, and range lookup. Remember, range lookup is optional in this case. So what are we looking for? We're looking for this commission for any salesperson we type here. So the first argument here is lookup value. The lookup value is actually what you're looking for. So here I'm going to click on the salesperson, which is in H3. Now, once you're done with that, you can add comma. So VLOOKUP, I have lookup value, which is my H3. Next, I have table array. The table array is the entire table. So what I'm going to do is to highlight the entire table right here. So now my entire table is B3 to B24. I hope we understand that. B3 to B3 to F24. That is our table array because it is the next argument in this function. Now, the moment you select your array, which is B3 to F24, in my own case, then I'll put comma. The next thing is column index number. What is column index number in this case? Column index number is the column that contains what I'm looking for. Now, what I'm looking for is the commission from the salesperson. So which means my column index number is going to be 5. How do I know that it's 5? B is salesperson, that's number 1. C is number 2. D is number 3. E is number 4. Then F is number 5. So column 5 contain what I'm looking for. So I'm going to type number 5 under column index number, because that's the column number that contain what I'm looking for, which is the commission in this case. Remember, you're not looking from right to left, you're looking from left to right, comma. Now, the last argument here is range lookup. Now, my range lookup is either true, that is approximate match, or false, which is exact match. So it's like returning 0 or 1, or true or false. To avoid a long process, I'm going to return 0. What do I mean by returning 0? It means that if you don't see any related salesperson in the list, return 0. Don't return anything, meaning Excel will not be able to return any commission if the salesperson you type is not among the salesperson list. Now, at the end of the day, you click and close your bracket. See that the formula is quite very easy and simple. Now, the moment I press enter here, it's showing me $1,239, which is the commission for this salesperson. Now, if I now type the next salesperson, like let me type anybody here, like Journal. Okay, so I'll type the next person here, Journal Hint. All right, now I type the next person and I press enter. It's going to show me not available. See that? Not available. Now, the reason it's showing me not available is because the name of that person is not available in my list. But if I come here and type the correct name by typing Jonah, then Higgins. Now, once I press enter, it will show me the commission of that person. So the idea is any name you type under salesperson is going to show us the commission from our table. So even though I type, let's say I type another name, like I will type Ivan, type this name. All right, so you see that I type another name, and the moment I press enter, it's showing me the commission of that particular person. So I'll open the formula and let us see that just in 1 second. So let's the formula again, equal sign VLOOKUP H3. What is H3? H3 is our lookup value. Next is our table array, which is our database. This table array is like our database that we are working with. Now, F5 is our column index number, which means the column that contains what we are looking for, which in this case column 5, because we are looking for the commission of whoever we type the name in our salesperson column. Next, 0 meaning we don't have anything to show if there is no name or if the salesperson is not available in our list. So VLOOKUP helps us to look for the value that we want in our database. I'm sure we understand that. Now, let's quickly look at our HLOOKUP. Now, our HLOOKUP, remember, I said that our HLOOKUP is horizontal lookup, whereby your table is not given in vertical order, but in horizontal order. Then that is where you can use HLOOKUP. Although most often we don't use our HLOOKUP most often because we always see our table in horizontal order. But let me just show us how the HLOOKUP work in Excel. So I'm going to move down to my table. Now, if you look at this, my table has been put in horizontal order. It's just the same table, but this time around in a different order. So here, I'm looking for the salesperson commission. So I'm going to type equal sign HLOOKUP. Okay, HLOOKUP here. Now, the same syntax, just that here, my table is in horizontal order. That is just different, but the same syntax. So in this case, what is my lookup value? My lookup value is in B9. All right, I'm sure you can see that B9, meaning whatever name I type in B9, Excel should use that name, go to my table array and look for the commission of that person in a particular column I'm going to specify. So what is my table array now? I'm going to highlight my table array right now, which is the entire table, which is in this case C2 to what? X6. So C2 to X6 is my table array. So I'm going to add comma because that's my table array. I have highlighted the column I want Excel to pick up the commission for me. It's now left for me to tell Excel which row. Remember, for VLOOKUP, it was column index number, but for HLOOKUP, it's now row index number because our vertical order has become horizontal, meaning the table that was vertical has now turned to be horizontal. So now we have our column to be row and our row to be column. So we have row index number. So my row index number is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to still type 5, which is my row number in this case. So row 1 is salesperson, row 2 is the ID, row 3 is the date, row 4 is the sales amount, and row 5 is my commission. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is why I'm typing 5. Then I'm going to put comma here and type 0. Remember, this 0 means that if there is no salesperson, Excel is going to return 0, or it can also return true or false. So here I'm going to close my bracket, then press enter. So look at that. It's showing me the commission of this person, just like the VLOOKUP. But like I said, understand the difference between VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. VLOOKUP is used when your table is vertical, which means from left to right. And HLOOKUP is used when your table is horizontal, meaning your column become your rows and your rows become your column. That is when you use your HLOOKUP. So now, any name I type here is going to bring out the commission of that person. So if I type this name, just any name, depend on your worksheet, you can just input any name from here and press enter. That is going to show us the commission of the person. So feel free to try this out by arranging your table and apply the formula. We all see how the formula look like. The difference is not really much with that of VLOOKUP, but just that at this point, our table is in horizontal order. So I'm leaving the formula for just 1 second for us to look at it again. Maybe note it down and note and understand how this works. So you can type your formula and see how this is going to retrieve your data or your commission or your value from a particular column of numbers or data. So now, like I said, above all this HLOOKUP and VLOOKUP, we have a function called XLOOKUP, which is going to be the last lookup function I'm going to mention for now, and it's so important for us to know how this XLOOKUP works. So I'm going to switch to my XLOOKUP column, and we're going to do the same thing. Now, the good thing about using the XLOOKUP is that you don't need to select or highlight all parts of your table. Okay, we are going to achieve the same result, but with XLOOKUP. All right, so please look up and follow along and understand the concept so that you can apply it anywhere where you have your data set. So I'm going to say equal sign XLOOKUP. The first option here is lookup value. My lookup value is H8 because my worksheet has changed, my data set has changed. So now my lookup value is H8 in this case. How? Why is it H8? If you look at where I have my salesperson down here, I have the salesperson. If you follow along very well, my salesperson is in H8, meaning that any salesperson I type under H8, that is sales H8, it should go into the table and bring the person commission. Let me see. especially when you're working with a large data set. You don't want to scroll up and down and look for the commission of that person or the sales amount of that person. Now, here is the good news about, or the good thing about using the XLOOKUP. Remember, I said that XLOOKUP has taken over VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP, but I was just trying to let us see how VLOOKUP works and how HLOOKUP works. But I will encourage us to understand how this XLOOKUP works so that you can always use them or use it in place of VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. And you so like it when you understand how this works. So now, HF is my lookup value, just like in the case of VLOOKUP. Now, what is my lookup array? My lookup array, I don't necessarily need to select everything, but what I'm going to do is to highlight this salesperson. All right. So look at now that I have F3 to F24. I hope we understand where my F3 and F24 is. My F3 to F24 is my salesperson column. You can see that right now. Then I press comma. Remember, for VLOOKUP, we were selecting everything when it comes to lookup array. But in XLOOKUP, you don't need to highlight everything. You only highlight the specific column that you want to use. So here, I'm highlighting F3 to F24. Next thing here is return array, meaning what do you want to return from F3 to F24? My return array is still the commission. So here I'm going to highlight the commission column because I want a situation whereby if I type any salesperson, I want to see the commission. So you see that XLOOKUP is more flexible. Trust me, it's more flexible. If you understand how to use it, you won't really need VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP to use, because as you can see right now, I don't need to highlight everything. I only highlight what I want, which is in this case, salesperson and the commission. I'm going to put comma here. The last argument here is if not found. Remember, you don't necessarily need to use all the argument. The most important ones are lookup value, lookup array, and return array. So at this point, I'm going to type a different text under if not found by saying not in the list, not in the list. Please, if you're typing this, put it in a double quote. All right, as you can see. So I'm going to close my parenthesis. So H8, comma, F3 to F24, then E3 to E24. And the last one here is not in the list. Not in the list is if not found. So I'm going to press enter. Look at that. It's showing me the commission of this salesperson, which is $1,239. So which means that if I type any salesperson here, it's going to return the commission. Like I type this salesperson, then I press enter. Look at that, it's showing the commission. So if you look at this, XLOOKUP works almost exactly like VLOOKUP, but the only thing is that XLOOKUP is more flexible to use than the VLOOKUP when you are trying to search for a value. Remember, the purpose and aim of using all this lookup function is to quickly search for a value from a data set, especially when you're working with a large data set. So it's more flexible to use, and you don't necessarily need to use all the syntax. The most important one is the first three syntax you are looking at here. So any salesperson you type is going to pick up the commission. At this point, when I'm using the XLOOKUP, I can look from left to right or right to left. It doesn't have any limitation on where to start looking for your value, unlike VLOOKUP that only look from left to right only. But XLOOKUP doesn't look from left to right or right to left, but it can be any set or any part of the data set you want to highlight. If you notice my selection, I select salesperson before commission, not necessarily selecting all the range or all my data set at this point. So that's how flexible XLOOKUP is when you are looking for a data. So it means that if I'm looking for the commission, all I need to do is to highlight the commission or highlight my sales amount. So you can highlight any column you want to search for. So it's very flexible at this point to use. So please do well, like I said, to drop your comment, your question, and we're going to respond to all of them. All right, so the next part is that I'm going to show us another example of this X lookup before we move to our final topic for today, which is to look at pivot table. Now, quickly, the last example I want us to look at is now one of the advantage of using XLOOKUP is that XLOOKUP can return two variables. Yeah, it can return two variables or two values, unlike our VLOOKUP that cannot return two variables. So at this point, let's say we are looking for the sales amount and the commission at the same time. Meaning what? Meaning that if I type any salesperson here, what I want it to return for me is the sales amount and commission of that person from my table array or from my data set. Remember, our data set is salesperson, ID number, date, sales amount, and their commission. So if I type any salesperson under this sales H3, I want Excel to return sales amount of that person and the person commission for me, instead of me looking down and scroll up and down to search for the sales amount and the commission from my data set or from my table. All right, so let's apply that and see how it works. So here I'm going to type this XLOOKUP function by saying equal sign XLOOKUP. Remember the syntax: lookup value. My lookup value is in H3. Please understand why I click on H3, because it means that any name I type in H3, it should be able to return that person commission and the sales amount. That's what I want to achieve here. So I'm going to put comma here. The next argument here is lookup array. My lookup array is my commission. So here I'm going to highlight all the commission and add in my array. So I'm highlighting this commission right here to the last sales person. Okay, so now my commission is B3 to B24, comma. Sorry, my sales person, which is what I'm selecting here, which is also my table array or lookup array. So my lookup array is B3 to what? B24. Now, the last argument that is very important here, like I said earlier, is return array. What am I returning? I'm returning sales amount and commission for any salesperson that I type here. So I'm going to come up here and highlight both sales amount and commission. Please understand my selection or what I'm trying to highlight. So I'm going to close my bracket right here. Now look at the formula here. H3 is my lookup value. Remember, B3 to B24 is my lookup array. Then E3 to F24 is what I want to return, which is the sales amount and my commission or their commission. I hope we understand that. So I'm going to press enter here. Look at that. So it's going to return both the sales amount of that person and the commission automatically. Remember, this is what VLOOKUP cannot do. And also, this is what HLOOKUP cannot do. I also said that XLOOKUP is very flexible and it's very easy to use. And it is taking over, or it has took over the use of VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. So if I come here and type any salesperson, what is going to return for me is their commission and their sales amount. So this is what VLOOKUP cannot do. So let me say I type this name. So I type a name here. I type a name. So once I press enter, look at that. It's going to return the sales amount and their commission. Right? I do hope you understand this and see how this works, and you can explore more on this function. So what I want us to understand is just the concept, because on your own, you can use any worksheet to practice this and get used to. In case you have a large data set and you are looking for particular data or a particular value from your data set, VLOOKUP can help you to achieve that. Okay, so that is that for this. So I'm going to move down to our next topic, which is our pivot table. Remember from my presentation, I explained what pivot table is all about. So I'm going to go to my worksheet so that we can use our pivot table. Now, pivot table is used to summarize a complex data. So wherever you're looking for a complex data, you can use your pivot table to summarize them. Okay, so in order to summarize this, we are going to use our pivot table from our insert. So where do we have your pivot table? From our insert tab. So when you click on insert tab, there's a group here called tables. Now right there, you're going to see pivot table. Now remember, I said that pivot table is used to summarize a complex data. Now let's say in my data set here, I have ID, date, product, region, source method, price per unit, cost per unit, and so on. So let's say we want to create a summary to summarize our data based on product and region, or maybe revenue. So here's how this works. I'm going to go to insert tab, then I will click on pivot table. So meaning that in order to create a pivot table to summarize your data, you don't necessarily need to highlight all the data. Just click anywhere in your data set. Now, once you click anywhere in your data set, then you can go to insert and you're going to see your pivot table. We are going to also create our pivot chart as well later on to summarize this at the end. So clicking on insert tab, I'll click on pivot table. Now, this is how the dialog box look like. Now, two things you have to have in mind is that Excel will prompt you if you want to create your pivot table in a new worksheet or existing worksheet. So I want my summary to be in a new worksheet, but you can also use existing worksheet if you want your data set to be in your existing worksheet that you're working with. So, but I would like my own to be in a new worksheet so that I can create my pivot table and summarize it well with a chart. So with this, I'm going to click on OK, because already, if you notice, my data set has been selected already and new worksheet has been active already. So I'm going to click on OK to move to my new worksheet. Now, this is my new worksheet where I'm going to create my summary. So here on my right, as you can see, I have pivot table fields, meaning these are all the fields I have in my table or from my table, which are what? ID, date, product, region, sales method, and all of that. So I want to create a summary report. Remember, pivot table is used to create summary where you're working with a complex data. So I want to create a summary report to show all my product and their total revenue. So here, looking down, I have filters, I have columns, and I have rows and value. Remember, anything you want to see under your rows, you move them to the rows. Anything values goes to the value. Anything columns goes to the column. And if you want to filters, anything filter goes to the filter columns. So I'm going to drag my product to what? Rows. Please look at what I'm going to do so that you understand how to move your content or your field to your pivot table handle. So yeah, the easiest way to do this is to click and drag. So I'm going to click and drag my product. If you can look at my mouse, I drag it to product. So I drag product to rows. Okay. So the moment I drop this, look at that. So this is the summary of all my product from my data set. What are my products? AirPod, iPad, iPhone, iWatch, and MacBook. So it shows me all my products from my data set. Now, I want to show a summary of the revenue or the total revenue for each of these products I have. So to do that, I'm going to go back to my pivot table fields and drag revenue. Remember, revenue is values. So I'm going to drag revenue to values. So look at this. So if you notice what is happening here now, I have been able to create a summary report using pivot table to show all the products in my data set and their total revenue. Now, I'm going to do some formatting here by highlighting my value, go to Home tab, and make it dollars. Then decrease my decimal. All right. So here, I found out that these are all the total sum of revenue for my product. Again, the next thing I'm going to do here is to sort this data. I'm going to sort this data. How do you sort your data? By right-clicking on your data set, and you're going to see sort. Okay, sort. Then I will use sort largest to smallest. So I'm going to click largest to smallest. Now, which means that MacBook has the highest cells. Okay, MacBook has the highest cell because that is the top value. The next thing I want us to look at here is how do you add a conditional formatting. In order to add conditional formatting, we are going to highlight our data set, like this, then go to Home tab, then you're going to see the styles groups. From the styles groups, we're going to click on the cell styles. Then you can choose any cell styles you want to use. Next, to add conditional formatting, you're going to click on conditional formatting here. Then I'm going to add data bars. Look at this. Or you can add your color scale or icon set. Now, I want to use data bars to format my data. So look at that. So to really show that MacBook is my highest revenue, followed by iPhone and so on. So whatever product you're working with, then you can summarize this by using your pivot table. Now, another thing I want to do is I want to show the summary for expenses. Remember, my table has expenses. So I want to know what is the sum of expenses for each of these products. So here, I'm going to drag expenses from my pivot table field down to value. Remember, anything value goes to value. So I'm going to drag expenses under value. So look at that. So here, I have sum of revenue for each of these products, and I have sum of expenses for all my products. Now, I can also highlight the expenses value, go to Home tab, then apply conditional formatting just to format my table and make it look presentable. So here, I'm still going to use data bars to format my table. So I'm choose any color for my data bars like so. So it shows from highest to lowest. Remember, I sorted my table before now by right-clicking on my data set or within my pivot table summary, and I choose sort. And what I choose was sort largest to smallest for me to be able to know what is the largest cell product or revenue or value in this case. So feel free to explore this with your own data, and you can see that it will summarize your complex data in a pivot table like this. Next on our topic was to use this pivot table and create our pivot chart. In order to create a pivot chart, you can now go to Insert tab. Remember, you don't necessarily need to highlight all your data set. All you need to do is to click anywhere within your data set or within your table, then go to Insert tab, and you will see Pivot Chart under Chart. So in our next topic, we're going to talk more about chart. But for now, since we're talking about pivot table, we're going to focus with pivot chart for now. So pivot chart is more of like creating visuals to be able to summarize our data visually. So remember, I go to insert, click on pivot table, sorry, click on pivot chart, and you're going to see pivot chart right here. So once you click on pivot chart, now you can choose any chart of your choice. So like I said, in our next section, we're going to talk about some other types of chart that you can use to analyze and visualize your data. But for now, I'm going to use a simple chart here. So feel free to explore more chart from this option that best analyze or visualize your data. So I'm going to click on the first column chart and click on OK. So now look at that. I have my chart right here. So I've been able to visualize my data by creating a pivot chart to display all the information. Now look at this, that we have MacBook, iPhone, AirPod, iPad, and all of that. It all depends on your product that you have in your table. So feel free to use any product of your choice if you want to visualize your data. Now, if you look at, we have some label in our chart. Let's assume we don't need all this label and you want to remove all the labels in your chart, because it won't really look okay when you present your chart visually with all this label around it, like some of revenue in the chart, some of expenses. So what you are going to do to remove them is to right click on the label, and you're going to see remove field. See that is gone. Right click on sum of expenses or anyone you want to remove, and you're going to see remove field. Now once you remove them, it's going to get rid of all the unnecessary field that you don't want. Please be sure that you want to remove the field before you right click and remove. So in summary, to create your pivot table, all you need to do is to go to insert, and you're going to see pivot table. Also, if you want to create a pivot chart, you can also go to insert and you will see pivot chart. Alternatively, you can also go to pivot table analysis and you're going to see pivot chart under a group called pivot chart, recommended chart, and you're going to see that also in our inside tab. So those are the places you can see your pivot chart and your pivot table from insert tab, and also from pivot table analysis. The moment you create your pivot chart, you can visualize your data by formatting them and present your data. So all right, that will be it for today, and we're looking at to explore more options by creating more chart in our next section, and also we'll look at more interesting topic in our next section. So please do well to join us tomorrow for our next section, and please, if you are new, please do well to subscribe so that you can follow along with all these interesting topic as it will come your way next time. Thank you, and I'll see you in our next section. Yeah.